I had some comments about the poor audio on some of my recordings, which was down to me continuing to use the internal microphone on this thing. So accordingly, I did a little bit of an upgrade as follows. I'll point out. So here is my external microphone, and it's pretty simple. You won't be able to see this, but I'm just plugging it into the USB port. And hopefully you're actually now recording something. Is there a little light on here? Is there a little? Yes, there is a little light on there, a little green one. So hopefully you're actually hearing something now, and that's important. So yes, I did record a couple of sequences actually, with the thing plugged in, but the microphone switched off. So anyway, now I have to re-record part of that. So this is Mr. Voiceover, and the reason I'm Mr. Voiceover is because I don't know how my microphone works. So anyway, describing the situation as was with the two red wires, one of which is a lot thicker than the other, albeit the thin one isn't as thin as it looks due to it being thin wall insulation. So that's one of the things I wanted to change, and of course I'm shortening them as well and moving these two green dually parallel wired up relay bases, removing those, and they will in turn turn up, as it were, replaced on the far side of the dash, as you'll see, with the new big fat relay instead. Mr. Voiceover here again, and here you can see in a landscape version of the same thing really. You can see the two relay bases wired up in parallel, and you can see below that where I had indeed done the parallel wiring with some splits there, some Y junctions if you like, and I'm demonstrating how to remove the connections from the plastic relay bases, basically using a thin screwdriver blade. And there is a little slot down the side of the where the slot for the pin or the blade of the relay plugs in, and you can actually lever inside that slot and it pushes the little tag on the spade connector inside. It does permanently bend it, but you can actually prise it back out again if you want. But anyway, it enables me to remove the wire from the relay base, which is a lot less destructive actually than cutting, for example. Albeit, I mean, maybe it wasn't necessary, but that's what I did, and it's made for sort of neater work, and I can reuse those wires if I want to at a later stage. By the way, the thick green wire, which is visible from time to time, is actually my aerial for the radio, which is just to the top of this picture. It's not screened. The car's made of fiberglass, so I didn't really see any point in having an external aerial, so I just had a piece of wire that runs around the back of the dashboard and up the windscreen pillar. I can't remember, I think it may go across the top of the door as well, so it's a fairly long piece of wire actually, but it's plugged directly into the back of the radio normally, and I think it's pulled out at this point, so it probably could benefit from having a plug on it. So finally, I suppose it's 8 spade connectors all pull out of the two relay bases. So these are 5-pin relays. The 5th pin is the one that stays connected when everything else is switched off. In actual fact, I've never actually used those, but on the other hand, I can't see much point in buying relays that don't have it, where that's the choice. In fact, the new relay doesn't have a 5th pin, but that doesn't really matter. So another little element of doubt regarding this whole setup has been how much current is really going through the that relay. And the relay was rated, or each relay I should say, is rated at 30 amps. Now putting two in parallel may or may not add up to 60 amps, but whatever. I thought it would be interesting to see how much current is actually going through, to see how close to the rating that I am. Now, this ammeter, unfortunately, only goes up to 15 amps, which is not that useful, really. One of the problems with ammeters, especially if you're measuring high currents, is that because it is a very high current, it's actually quite hard to send it all through a little delicate device like a meter, and really you need to measure through what's called a shunt, where you basically have a low value resistor, high power one, with a voltmeter attached to it, and I may come back to that in due course. I've got one on order, but in any case I thought it might be interesting to see what actually happens when you switch the whole car on, and this the relay is actually providing a short circuit. It's doing the job of the ammeter is providing a short circuit, if you like, doing the job of the relay. So here we are. That was a reading of something like 12 amps, and I think from memory that's just switching the ignition on, and it fires up the fuel pumps and so on. The water pump only comes on when the engine is running, so I mean, that's a fairly hefty current in its own right, so 13 amps, but it is, for the sake of argument, it's only about half what the rating of each relay would be, so that sort of current should be absolutely fine. What's interesting, of course, is if you switch some other things on as well. So we already said that the water pump isn't running, but and that adds, I think from memory, about 8 amps. So 12 plus 8, that'd be close to something like that would be close to 20 amps if the engine was actually running. But of course, other heavy items like well, the whole engine management system, which also isn't running at this point because the engine is switched off. What the heaviest item is probably the headlamps. So I can't actually recall what I'm doing at this point. I'm seeing a figure of, what is that, like 7 amps or something. Yeah, I can't remember what that is actually measuring, but anyway, I did a few experiments, and suffice to say, when everything's running, including the headlamps, the meter just went completely full scale deflection, and well over 15 amps, obviously. So we don't really know what it was reading or what it would have read. So we'll come back to that another time. And so, with any luck, I can show you. Can't quite open the door. That this thing is my new big fat relay, 100 amp jobby, which hopefully will work a lot better than the original. Now I do need to get in there to open the door. Okay, so, and you may be able to hear this. In fact, I'm going to put the microphone right next to the relay. There it is. Yeah, so that's quite a good substantial clack noise, and so all should be well. Well, I don't need it running any further, so switch you back to the other way. Yeah, so that should be the end of the relay project, and I shall have to splice in and voice over some elements that I filmed before due to complete lack of audio. Anyway, that's a job for editing later on.